All right, we are live. Educational purpose only, not financial advice. This is for my paid subscribers. Let's look and see what this market's doing right now. On our weekly and monthly levels, we know that this is a major level on the NASDAQ right here. And I'm just going to open these full screen and then jump from one to the other so we can kind of compare and talk. Have green candles still bumping into this level, the R1 resistance one, 29,885, which that's why the line's there. We expect resistance to be there based off of our calculations. That's what we assume will happen. So we know our bull bear line here, green candles, uptrend, be aware of that. On the weekly, a little weaker, got red candles, and that 29,851 set on top of this morning, had that little flush. Now that the European closes out of the way at 10:30 towards 11 here, now we are seeing maybe some traction coming back into the market. Now remember, PPI, CPI this week, a lot of chop until we get there because those are big macro events that the market cares about. Is inflation going to be high to where the Fed needs to hike rates again? Or is it going to be low where they definitely don't need to hike rates or they can cut rates? Who knows? The market will tell us. You can guess, but that's a dangerous game. I like this look on the S&P, 7,776 and a 3/4, holding on the weekly. Looks a little stronger than the Q. Same thing here, R1 on the monthly resistance. So to get moving, we need to get above this and retest at 77.93 and a quarter to really think that we have some upside traction. Let's go look at the Dow real quick just to see how it's trending. Losing a little momentum, but you can see gray, green. Does it go green or red here? We will see. 54,430. 54,430 on the monthly is going to be a big spot, and we were right at that weekly. I expect this week to be a lot of chop until we get to CPI, PPI. So if you're a credit seller, you can capitalize on that at the beginning of the week. We can look at SMH. It's having a hard day, and I wouldn't expect the NASDAQ to do a lot until this wants to do more. So we lost this 580 over here. That was on the quarterly. That's right. It was on the quarterly. And now we are losing R1 on the monthly. So watch that level, 578.67 to 580 is going to be some resistance. And the weekly pivot, as you can see, once we broke, couldn't regain, retest, dump. So that makes me think that the names that matter a lot, like NVIDIA, are probably not doing so well today. Yeah, NVIDIA looks fairly the same on the weekly, broke, retest, continue down. No reason to get overly excited until either we start finding targets for support or we regain that pivot and take off higher. Let's look at the monthly. Same thing, losing R1, that resistance. Like I said, once you break a level above it, right, it's support until proven otherwise. Well, right now we're proven otherwise. So we've broke that support, 222 and 18. Do we get a retest and then a continuation down? Those are things that I'll be watching for. Looks like Google's not doing the hottest today. It's just flat. Apple having a hard day. I think there were some downgrades on Apple. Just a lot of market talk, blah, blah, blah. Broke that 309, which is the monthly pivot. Never a great look there. For the week, trying to hold the pivot, but we will see if it actually can hold or not. 306.83, as you can see, it's been a spot here, which we would expect it to be. That's the weekly pivot. That is something you need to be aware of. Let's go look at oil real quick. Oil is up 3.6%. Held pivot, green candles on the weekly, trying to go higher. Pivot, breaking above that 80.10. That's a retest of that and a launch means oil is going higher, okay? A retest and a hold, consolidation. Watch out for oil to go higher, which will be negative for the stock market. Let's look at the VIX volatility index. That's 1603, still not doing anything. kind of being lazy down here and has lost the weekly pivot. So 1550 to 16, going to have some overhead resistance. Got a gap down here to, let's see what the high of that candle is, 1493. See what the low of this candle was, 1510. So has a little room to fill that gap yet. So be highly aware of those things. For me, a lot of chop this week, just based on CPI and PPI. Nobody's going to want to get positioned real big. It can prove me wrong. It has in the past, but that's just the way I kind of view it. A lot of choppy chop because they just want to make you lotto it, and don't do that. Like, oh, we're going higher, we're going lower based on XYZ. Don't do that. Let them have their move. Don't try to guess which way it's going to be, because once that, the market will digest. I think, like I said, Wednesday's CPI or PPI, and then Thursday's the other. I used to really monitor those dates. I know that they are at those days and the times, so just be aware of that. Don't get caught up in it. AMD holding the weekly pivot and not looking bad on the monthly, and that's what I talk about when we're out in the middle of no man's land on the monthly. Jump over your weekly. You're holding the pivot. Not a bad look. Or that's MU. Let me look at AMD. AMD, same thing. So a few of them not having as hard a day as NVIDIA, which NVIDIA had that monster run. Something else I've seen that was having another run of a day. Microsoft on the weekly. Started below the pivot, gained the pivot at 503. Now we're trading 510, been as high as 513. Getting up here on the monthly levels. Pay attention. 522 and a quarter. Meta, I think, was also having a day. Yeah, they're up $7. Look where they found resistance. Right there where they should. R1 should be an inflection point. You can play that bull bear line. So 609.83, we have the run from pivot to target. Perfect rejection. Let's go look at the weekly, sitting right on the weekly pivot right now. So, you know, for this thing to continue to run, it has to hold the weekly pivot and get above 609. So whether you lean bullish or bearish, you can make decisions based off of 600 to 609. Like, hey, I think we're going to retest and go higher, or hey, I think it's going to roll over and go lower. Use this level for that. And you know your first big resistance for the monthly. And if you have them side by side like I do and you want this, let me know and I will get it to you. I love working with people, getting their toss set up and showing them how to use this indicator that will produce on their screen. They can produce it in any way they want and take it from there. So with that, I'm going to leave. This is just my paid. I'm going to jump back on and do a different live for just an update with maybe just look at daily levels and stuff that I don't put out. The one thing I will touch on this chart, I want to show you this. USO is up 5%. United States oil, 5.23%. You can see we're not far off the high, $20. Kind of a big contrasting difference between that and oil. On that screen, we're off the high and it's only up 3.5%. That USO is kind of saying maybe a little different thing than what the index or the commodity crude oil is saying. So keep that in mind. I liken what the Q is trying to do here. We're right up to that weekly pivot right here. Decision point, 851. Do I go short or do I go long? I've got 885 above as resistance. And like I said, I expect a bunch of chops. So I'd much rather see a move. It's a real move. Something like a big move to get interested. Right now, we are just, as you can see, hanging out with this weekly pivot and it will chop you up. And I have a feeling the next few days are going to be that way just based on the fact that we have that data coming up. Okay. Hope this helps. And as always, we will talk soon.